Hello everybody, I'm Panos Kotsampopoulos, Principal Researcher at ICCS of the National Technical University of Athens, and I'm going to talk about skill gaps and educational needs for smart energy systems. The energy sector is undergoing a deep transformation driven by its critical importance in achieving sustainability and particularly its fundamental role in climate change. Digitalization is a basic facilitator of the energy system's transition. Digitalization requires personnel with adequate skills to adapt and excel in this new era. To this end, the identification of skill gaps is an important step that will foster the necessary actions to mitigate these gaps. So in the framework of the Erasmus Plus EDI project, we have applied a methodology to identify skill gaps concerning the digitalization of the energy system. So we're starting by identifying drivers towards digitalization, largely focusing on the ETIPS-NET approaches. Then we identified challenges, getting feedback from the industry. Then we assessed current and emerging skill needs and skill offer, and by comparing these, we were able to identify some skill gaps, and finally we performed a validation of the results. The first step was to create an industry survey. So we received 57 answers from important companies in the EU addressing challenges and skills in the energy sector. The survey aimed to get feedback from the industry regarding the current and emerging challenges and skill needs for the digitalization of the system. We made this analysis based on the different subsectors. So we have the electric power sector, the oil and gas, the heating and cooling, and the digital and data. And you can see from the results that the technology integration, by meaning the compatibility with existing technologies, and also the IT security issues are the main technical challenges the organization are facing in all the different sectors. It's very important to note that the lack of adequate skills is noted, and this is a very worrying challenge and highlights that these significant steps need to be taken in this direction. Moreover, data management is also a significant challenge for the digital energy transition. If you have a look at economic and organizational challenges, business model adaptation was considered as the most important challenge for all the sectors. And if we look at the social challenges, privacy concerns and acceptance of new technologies are the most important challenges. In order to identify the skill gaps, we developed a multidimensional methodology. So first we start with the skill demand, which is basically the approach to identify the skill needs based on reviews, for example, ESCO and CEDEFOP documents and platforms, the survey to the industry that I just presented, the interviews. Then we assess the skill offer based on performing a review of education and training curricula, and by distributing a survey to the education and training providers to see what basically they are teaching. And similarly, we ask the industry what is the current status in professionals, which means if the specific skills are covered now in the company. And by comparing the skill demand and the skill offer, we identify the skill gaps. So we developed skill sets, and each skill set included a couple of skills, and we made the analysis for different categories of staff: managers, administration, engineers, researchers, technicians, and specialists. And you can see here, for example, the part of the survey about engineers, researchers for the skill set, data capture, and management. So we have 3 skills in this skill set. And for example, for the first skill, we ask the companies, what is the level of expertise needed? Is it basic? Is it intermediate or expert? And what is the level of coverage within your company? Is it not covered? Is it partly covered or covered? So if, for example, for one skill, we need an high expertise, and this is not covered, we clearly have a skill gap. And let's have a look at the results. Here we examine the skill set analytical methods for engineers and researchers. And we can see that the industry demands high level of expertise in almost every skill of this skill set. So we have more than 80% expert and intermediate level combined for each skill. With the red color, you can see that the skills mathematical optimization and report analysis results showcase the highest demands of high-level expertise. So you can see 49% expert, 47% intermediate, and respectively 62% expert and 31% intermediate. The lowest coverage levels are observed in the skills that you can see with the green color: application of data mining approaches, perform big data analysis, and predictive modeling analysis. Despite the level of expertise demand being very high, the coverage is relatively low. Less than 50% of the industry covers their demands. Therefore, we can conclude that there is a skill gap in every skill of this skill set. Let's have a look now at the skill set programming development and technology related for engineers and researchers. Here the demand is also high in this skill set, while the coverage is quite low. So again, most skills presents a mismatch, a gap in this set. An interesting example is the blockchain skills, you can see with the orange color, which is not at the same level of demand as the rest, so there is a less demand of expertise, yet the coverage is the lowest in the set. So really this blockchain is not covered currently in the companies. And by comparing the situation in the different sectors, the power, heating and cooling, oil and gas, and digital data, we can see that the red color, the power sector, showcase the highest expertise demands on average. On the other side, with the green color, we can see that the power sector showcase the lowest coverage level on every skill set. So we can conclude that the power sector showcases the biggest skill gap, and this is possibly related to the increased penetration of distributed energy resources and the adoption of smart grid technologies. Then a survey was developed for education and training providers. So we received 35 answers from important universities and training providers across Europe. The survey aimed to get feedback from stakeholders in education regarding the current skill offer related to the digitalization of energy. In this case, the whole skill set is considered instead of specific skills. The focus was on university-level education based on the survey responses, but also lower VET education was considered to a smaller extent. The use of different tools and technologies is compared utilizing both surveys. the survey to the industry and the survey to the education and training providers. And in the graph, you can see that, for example, for the digital platforms, there is a demand for the 73%, while the offer is at 35%. So this means that we have a skill gap here. And to improve the quality of the produced results and expand them in terms of geographical and sectoral representation, a new survey was designed targeting both industrial and educational stakeholders. The recipients of the new questionnaire were both stakeholders that were contacted and had contributed before, and also new ones. 49 answers were collected for the validation. A 5-point Likert scale was used to assess the level of significance the participants considered for each skill gap. Scores above 3 indicate that the respondent considers significant enough the skill gap under question. And let's have a look at the results. We can see with the red color that the big data, data analytics, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence are rated as the most significant gaps by the participants. Blockchain and IoT are also among the top-rated gaps in the list. And concluding, we can say that the key areas that present skill gaps towards digitalization of energy converge towards data management and analysis, big data, cybersecurity, and programming and development competencies. Moreover, the electric power sector showcases the biggest skill gaps. This is possibly linked to the increase in distributed energy resources, the smart grid development, etc. Apart from the technical skills and competencies, transversal business and green skills are also very important in the energy sector. And you can see the full analysis at 2 deliverables of the EDI project that you can find from the EDI webpage. Moreover, university curricula, online training platforms, and industrial training programs cover several aspects of digitalization, yet there is plenty of room for improvement to foster the digital transformation. A link needs to be established between education and training providers and the industry, and we need to find a way to perform a systematic anticipation of skill needs. And to this end, the large-scale partnership on the digitalization of the energy system has been created. This comes from the Pact for Skills initiative of the European Commission, combined with the Digital Action Plan for Energy, considering the unprecedented transformation of the energy sector. And the question here is how to better contribute to education for the required digitalization of the energy sector. And the mission of this partnership is to promote and coordinate structured networking and knowledge sharing between training providers, energy sector companies, and digital transformation companies. So this is an ongoing activity, and you are invited to become part of this large-scale partnership. So this concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.